This is Oliver from Trusted Search Marketing, and I'm going to talk about how to optimize titles and descriptions for better click-through rates in the SERPs. We have a lot of actionable content coming your way, which we believe is essential in your overall SEO strategy in 2022. If you like this video and you'd like to see some more, please do us a solid by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the notification bell to be notified when we publish more awesome content like this. We have a lot more coming. We'd also really appreciate it if you gave us your thoughts and opinions of future SEO trends in the comments below. So let's get into it. Optimizing for organic click-through rates, or CTRs, is one of the things we tend to overlook as SEOs. We can be so over-focused on getting your keywords to rank and converting traffic that sometimes we overlook the simpler things that we can do to increase our existing traffic flow. The great thing about optimizing your organic click-through rate is almost completely independent from the keyword ranking and conversion conversation. Let me explain. By testing and optimizing your click-through rates, you're able to leverage existing traffic and rankings to increase the rate of which users click through to your website from the search engines. As SEOs, the process we go through to create SEO-friendly meta tags involves creating titles, descriptions that rank well in search and entice a user to click on your listing in the organic search results. Most commonly, we tend to leave the metadata in place unless we feel the need to re-optimize for it. More commonly, refocus on specific keywords. Very rarely do we go down through this exercise of conversion or click-through rates in mind. That's not to say that agencies like ours and other SEOs don't do this, but from my experience, it's not as commonly done. This goes to my point from earlier that a lot of the SEO community is hyper-focused on traffic and rankings over user experience and conversions. Before we get into some of the ways which you can optimize your organic click-through rates, let's take a second to make sure we are all on the same page here. First off, I want to make sure that we all understand what we're talking about here when we're talking about organic click-through rates. Not click-through rates from paid traffic like Google Ads or social ads. Organic click-through rates are the ratio of users that click on your organic results in the search engines compared to the number of times that user is shown your organic listing. As a formula, it would look something like organic clicks divided by impressions. Backlinko did a study a couple years back where they analyzed 5 million Google search results to better understand the click-through rate. For first page ranking, the click-through rate varied dramatically between position 1 and position 10 by about an average of 11%. Throughout the study, they also find some other interesting pieces of information. For example, the number 1 position in Google is 10 times more likely to get clicked than position 10. Organic click-through rates for positions 7 through 10 are essentially the same. Moving up just one spot in the search results increases your click-through rate by approximately 30%. They also came up with some fascinating findings relating to how the title tags are written, such as title tags that contain a question have a 14% higher click-through rate than ones that do not. Title tags between 15 and 40 characters have the highest click-through rate, about 8% higher than character lengths outside of that range. Surprisingly, adding descriptive adjectives like best, insane, powerful, amazing decrease the website's click-through rate by almost 13%. Title tags that have emotional language, how to get SEO results that will make you jump for joy, for example, increase click-through rates by around 7%. This didn't change if the emotional sentiment was positive or negative. It can be either one. And lastly, organic listings with meta descriptions resulted in 6% more clicks than those without a description. Huge shout out to Brian Dean over at Backlinko for putting this content together. If you haven't seen Brian's work, I'd highly recommend checking out his blog as well as his YouTube channel. He's definitely one of the best. So now that you understand the dramatic difference between optimizing your meta tags can make, let's talk about how to do it. It's a lot easier than you think. The first action you need to when optimizing your meta tags is performing some sort of a content audit and identifying the pages with the lowest organic click-through rate and start there. There are a few ways that you can get this information, but I'd start in Google Search Console. You can also pull this data into Screaming Frog's crawler as well as SEMrush's tool as well. Just name a few others. Once you're in Google Search Console, you'll need to navigate to the Performance tab. From there, you'll need to make sure that both queries as well as average click-through rates are both checked. You'll want to export this and save this data. It will become the baseline that you can track your improvements and impressions from if you decide to do so. Before we get into testing, I'd be careless if I didn't point out that now would be a great time to double check for any keyword cannibalization. For those of you that are new to SEO, keyword cannibalization is when you have multiple pages optimized for the same keyword. Some of you may think that this sounds great because you'll have multiple whacks at the apple, so to speak. But what ends up happening is that you spread out your organic clicks over multiple pages and end up competing with yourself while limiting the click-through rate of each listing. This is a huge mistake in SEO and something you should correct definitely in 2022. Okay, now on to testing. Once you've isolated a group of pages that have lower click-through rates, you'll want to cut that list in half. You're going to be changing the titles and meta descriptions on only half of this list, while the second half will act as your control group, if you will, in the test. Once you have a list of pages that you're going to experiment on, you can begin making changes. As we discussed above, consider using emotions, making your titles more concise, adding things like calendar year, free shipping if applicable, and ad numbers, data, brackets. The sky is the limit. If you're running PPC or paid social ads, now would be a great time to pull that ad copy out and look at those data as far as what titles are working for them as well. Once you have optimized your titles, go ahead and publish them. In a few weeks, you'll want to go back into Google Search Console and pull that same data again and compare the changes you've made with the changes in the click-through rate. Make sure you take notes of your control group, the group you didn't change, to make sure that it was your new tags that moved the needle and not any kind of Google update or general market shift. If the test was successful, make those changes to the control group and repeat the process. Once your titles are perfect, for now, I'd recommend going through the same process with the descriptions to see if you can improve the click-through rate even more.